Okay, I just finished reading volume 1 and 2. This is a mouthful. This one's called A Supposed Kid from the Last Dungeon Boonies Moved to a Starting Town. So we got this character named Lloyd. He's from the boonies because he lives outside the kingdom, more in the countryside. And when it says move to a starting town, meaning he's moving to the kingdom to become a soldier. He wants to become a soldier. That's his dream. He thinks also that he's weak. He thinks he's only good at cleaning and cooking. However, he does have power. He just doesn't know that. When he went to enter to become a soldier, people can see an aura from him that he seems like a powerful person, but he doesn't know that. Anywho, everything is new around him, and yeah, he's very positive. And then throughout the story, he meets like friends here and there. However, when he took the test to become a soldier, he actually failed because I don't think he knows what to do. During the written test, instead of writing the correct answer, they think it was doodles, but however, it was ancient runes, like old magic. And so, yeah, like he's a big mystery person. There's a chief in his village that knows a lot of things about him, but for now, she wants to keep it a secret. And then in the meantime, he does live under a witch. Now, this witch is also has a secret identity, but yeah, overall the story is not bad. I like it. It's very enjoyable. It can be a little bit exaggerating because of how the characters are, but yeah, it's super funny. There's a lot of action. In volume 2, the kingdom was kind of invaded, and then they defeated one of the demon lord, because apparently there's other 2 more. But yeah, overall it's not bad. It can be very super wordy, and so I just kind of took my time reading it, but then there are times I'm just like, I feel like some parts are just unnecessary, if that makes sense. But it's still like, fun to read. But yeah, I can't wait to read more of this. I don't know how many volumes are out there, but yeah, I don't mind. It's not bad of a story. There's a lot of action. It's a big fantasy also. But yeah. When I saw this manga, the front cover really catch my eye because it looks like a big fantasy, and it's really a big fantasy. And yeah, here's some insight from the first volume. I really like the illustration. It's very detailed. Overall, the story is not bad. There's some parts I just find it unnecessary, but other than that, it's still fun to read. Now, when it comes to Lloyd is actually a descendant of heroes back in his town. He doesn't know that because the chief wants to keep it a secret. Now, as you can see, I think I mentioned that when he was entering to become a soldier, you can see that aura. People can see that he has some powers around him, but he doesn't know that. He just acts super normal, and to him, like, he just feel like he's not good enough on anything, but he's actually powerful. Yeah, such an interesting story. I'm curious to see what's gonna happen next. I have a romance manga here. This one's called A Condition Called Love. I read volume 1 and 2. All I can say, this story is not bad, it's alright. It's because I've seen and read so many romance similar to this. So this one is mostly a teenage love. So we got this couple who started going out, but then at first it was just like a trial going out, and then they're supposed to end this like certain months, and then they still continue, which I was really confused because I thought they ended the trial, but I guess they just kept going. I'm not sure if I missed that part, but yeah, it's just very, your normal teenage love, just getting to know each other. Now, our main girl, she hasn't fallen in love before, and so that's why she wanted to give this a try to see what is love is all about. And then eventually she slowly realized that she is started to fall in love with the guy. Now, when it comes to the dude, I feel like he's a bit like moving too fast. I'm not sure if he's really in love. I feel like there's a little bit creepy about him. I don't know, there's just something about him. I think there's a big mysterious about him. Yeah, that's all I can say. Overall, it's not bad. I would like to continue to see where their romance is gonna take, but other than that, it's all right. It's not bad. Now, I've heard of this manga like all over Instagram, so I wanted to give it a chance to see what this is all about. But yeah, exactly what I just said. It's just mostly about teenage love. He's been out with, I guess, a few girls in the past, and this is her first time. And so I guess she was kind of like interested and kind of curious, you know, what is this all about? Because in her mind, she doesn't really care. That's not her main focus. And so yeah, it was kind of interesting because it was her first experience. But yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's just your typical teenage love romance. It's it's quite all right, you know. It's very normal. And yeah, like I said, I feel like I've read and seen this type of story before, but it's still kind of like, you know, something to look forward, I guess. But yeah, not bad. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Okay, I just finished reading, I think it's called Hero Volume 1, Ako and Bambi, but on the site it's called Ako and Bambi. But anywho, now this manga it started really good, and then all of a sudden it got really confusing. Like, I got really confused because you got this panel overlapping another story, and it goes back to the original story. Like, I was really confused. But basically it's about this guy named Bambi. He's a young novelist. He lives in this apartment. I think he's the only tenant in this building. Now, in his apartment, apparently there was a history of someone unaliving herself. But then all of a sudden he gets a ghost. Like, he gets visited by a ghost. Now, this ghost is not the person who unalived herself. But then this ghost is somewhat special and different. And then later on, we get to find out that this ghost is actually a real person. Now, the way what works was the real person at night, she gets this out-of-body projection. If you watch Insidious, you know. So he has that similarity of specialty. And then the way he found out about this other girl was he keeps getting gifts and letters from her, and eventually decide to meet up. And then kind of makes sense what was going on because she kept having dreams about him. And yeah, and that's how they all connected, that this ghost is actually a real person. But for now, the ghost doesn't know that she's not really a ghost because this ghost doesn't have any memories. And then, since he's a novelist, a mangaka, he's writing actually about this ghost life because his editor wanted something else. And speaking of the editor, he meets his editor for the first time, and then all of a sudden the editor decided to live in the same building as him because it's pretty cheap. And then later on he gets a visit from a former classmate. So yeah, he's been getting like visitor left and right. And then, you know, before that he was just living by himself. So now he's pretty busy and like gets interrupted. Yeah, sorry if that was confusing because I was also confused when I was reading this. But yeah, basically it's a young mangaka who is a ghost, but it's not really a ghost. And now they're just trying to figure out what's going on. And then he does meet the ghost's real person because she explained that sometimes she feels like her soul comes out and then wanders around, and then her soul becomes a ghost, I guess. And then she always end up in this apartment. Now, the ghost and the real person don't have the same color hair, but they look alike because that's what Bambi was saying. Like, you guys do look alike, but you guys act different. And so yes, the story is not bad. I like it. Kind of curious what's gonna happen. And yeah, we'll see where the story goes. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys how the panel looks like because it's very different. And it has this unique like colorization, as you can see. And so when I was reading, there's like, oh, it's very different panels. But then all of a sudden it overlaps to another story. Like, basically what happened was, like, it would start like here, the original story, and all of a sudden another story comes out. Like, I was so confused. I'm sorry if that was confusing, but hopefully that makes sense. But overall, I don't mind the story. I'm just have a hard time following sometimes, but other than that, I really like it. I'm just really curious what's gonna happen next. I'm sure this manga is very popular because off the bat I can't find the rest of the volume because some of the volumes are out of print. So I just finished reading Natsume Book of Friends volume 1 and 2. This is all about yokai. You got this main character named Natsume. He can see yokai ever since he was young. Later on, he found out that he actually has a special power. Apparently, his grandmother was the same as him. However, the grandmother did something different. Instead, like, she was fighting yokai to kind of lash out her feelings because people find her weird, and so she created this called Book of Friends to seal yokai so that way she can control them. And then down the line, her grandson inherited the same power. However, now the grandson, Natsume wants to free them instead of have them lock up on this book because his intention is better than the grandmother, if that makes sense. And so along the way he meets all different kind of yokai, and then some of this yokai that's been binded from this book has come to him so they can be freed. And so he does that because he doesn't really want to deal with it. And then he meets this cat, and this cat has its own intention, but for now this cat acts like a pet towards Natsume. And so they sort of team up, work together until the book is, you know, empty. But then the cat doesn't want that book to be empty, because now this book is still powerful, because if anyone has this book of friends, they can pretty much control the yokai in it, and yeah, that sort of things. And so overall, this is not a bad of a story. I really like it. I'm familiar with yokai. I read a lot of yokai mangas, and so this one's pretty good. And I think this one has over 30 volumes. However, again, some of the volumes are out of print. I don't understand why they haven't like reprinted more when this manga is super popular. I've been doing a lot of research. I can't find volume 3, or I can, but then it's been priced so high, which doesn't make sense because it's just gonna sit there. But who's gonna buy volume 3 for $100? That's just crazy. But anywho, I'm just so frustrated because I can't continue reading this because some of the volumes are out of print. I mean, it happens before, like, it is what it is, but still kind of frustrating the fact that the publisher are not reprinting more. Like, I don't understand, like, what's the reason, you know? It's a very popular manga. Like, come on now. Please reprint more of the volumes that it's out of print, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's looking for it. But yeah, really, really good manga. I can see why it's very popular. I've heard this, I've seen it everywhere, and yeah, I just hope they reprint more volumes, because it really sucks. Now, this manga started about 10 years ago, and like, wow, that's pretty long as well. And so here's some insight from the first volume. Really like the illustration, it's very well done. Now, when Natsume frees the yokai, he would take a piece of paper from the book of friends, and he would put it in his mouth and then say their name, and that's how the yokai are freed. So basically that's how it looked like that. And then their name would go to their forehead, and then the yokais are free. Now, some yokai are friendly, some are very aggressive, but yeah, it's such a good story. I really like it. Now, Natsume, he's been seeing yokai all his life, but then his other main goal is actually to meet people like him. He does, but like, I think he really wants someone, you know, very close to him, so that way he can share his, you know, everything that he goes through. But overall, really, really like the story. I can see why it's very popular, and I can see why it's out of stock or out of print. Okay, I just finished reading No Longer Allowed in Another World, Volume 1 and 2. This was quite a funny story. It's an isekai as well. So basically it's about this guy who decided to commit something because he doesn't want to live longer, and then he landed in this world, and yet he's still not happy because he really wants to not be around anymore. However, he was granted to just stay in this world and kind of figure things out, and then along the way he makes friends, and then later on he does find out his power. So his power is basically return other worlders back to their world. Other worlders are basically like him, they came from another world, and yeah, that's his power. It was quite cool. And then one of his friends decided to go back home, and something happened, and then there's like an enemy who defeated a Dark Lord, but there's 7 of them, and now they call themselves 7 Fallen Angel. But then at the end of the story, one of them is called Gluttony. So in my assumption, I believe they're gonna be called the seven Deadly Sin. I really think so. But yeah, it's not bad of a story. I really like it. I've heard of this because the anime is out, so I was curious and I wanted to read it before I see the anime. Yeah, it's quite funny. It's almost your, you know, normal isekai story, but a little bit different, honestly. I really enjoy this, and after reading this, yeah, I really can't wait to watch the anime. Yeah, it's fun and there's a lot of action. It's very entertaining, and yeah, I can't wait to read more. I actually have 3 and 4 on the site, so I'm gonna read that right away. So here's the cover for 1 and 2. Okay, so now the main character, he is pretty eccentric, kind of like gloomy. However, even though he doesn't want to be around, he still cares for his friends until he meets his goal. But other than that, I like the story. Now, the 7 Fallen Angel, they used to be good people until they defeated the Dark Lord and they realized they want to rule this world, and that is why they want to bring torture and conquer. And yeah, so for now that is the main enemy for this story. I've just completed reading volume 3 and 4 of No Longer Allowed in Another World. Again, this was like a really cool story. I really like it. I enjoy my time. We're continuing this story about this main character named Sensei and his comrades. They're basically just traveling. First they went to their friend's place, and then their friend's place was actually got attacked by one of the fallen angel, and then one of the fallen angels name is Gluttony. I think the 7 fallen angels are under the name of the 7 deadly sins, because later on we're gonna meet a fallen angel named Greed. And so in this friend's place they were attacked. However, the friend discovered her new power. This friend's name is Tama. She's actually a princess and she's a demi-human. After that, they went to another travel to another place. It was a tree with a small village, and then they were able to help the village around there. And then after that, they went to another location where one of their friends used to live. His name is Near. He's like a little boy. I'm not sure how old he is. He doesn't really have any special power, but for now he's just trying to, you know, get along with them, because at first, when the first time they met him, he was a scammer, but eventually he decided to tag along, and yeah, they became friends. And so in his home place, it's like a desert, and it's also been cowering with other worlders. It seems like the other worlders are causing troubles because they want to act like they're all that. They want to rule certain area, and basically they're just a bunch of people who likes to commit crime. It's like they're giving this chance to live another life. However, instead they're wasting their life by just being a criminal. And so in this location, there's going to be another battle because one of the fallen angels wants to take over this land. And that is why I mentioned Greed, because apparently Greed is going to come out and, you know, take over. And so that's how the story goes so far. I really like it. It's quite funny. Other than that, I really like the story. I can't wait to read more. So far, there's 6 volumes out in English, but in Japan, there's already 10 volumes. I think the 7th volume comes out in November. So hopefully my library has the 2 other volumes. If not, I would like to collect it someday because it's a really, really cool story. I've seen a lot of isekai anime. I haven't really read an isekai, but so far, this is probably one of the best isekai I've read so far. Well, there is one. It was another, it was called The Book Saver Cafe in Another World. It's funny because now our main character is being depicted as a saver, so it's pretty similar. I feel like all isekais anime are like focusing on saver, like saving somebody's kingdom or their world, if that makes sense. So yeah, very similar, but this one is it's quite unique. I like it. I finally got a chance to read this manga called To Your Eternity. Read volume 1. This is the same mangaka of A Silent Voice, Yoshitoki Oima. After reading this manga, definitely have some similarity when it comes to illustration, but the story is quite really good. I enjoy my time. A lot of mystery, a lot of action, and something about the main character, because at first it started with an orb. This orb suddenly appeared on Earth, and then the orb changed to different kind of forms, and then the final form, well, it's not really the final, but then the story started the orb being a wolf at the end, and the wolf went back home to see this little boy who was living in this empty village because the rest of the people left for a better life. And then he decided to follow their footsteps. However, it was a harsh journey. He got injured and decided to go back home and just continue the journey after he's healed. But however, he's actually dying, and slowly his time was up, and then the wolf was left by himself. Then suddenly the wolf changed its form to the little boy, because this wolf used to be an orb that can change to different form, and now it's the boy. And so the boy, which happened to be the wolf, decided to leave, went to a long journey, and ended up in this forest. Now in this forest, there's a village. Every year there's a traditional where they have to make a sacrifice, and so this little girl was chosen, and so she was taken to the mountain to be an altar to offer to the god. However, during the journey, they were stopped by a good friend of her. However, the little girl didn't know what was going on. She kind of ran away and then met the boy, happened to be the wolf. Then she witnessed something unusual about him. He was not in great shape, and then suddenly he started healing up in front of her, and so that was very strange to her. Then suddenly they started like eating together. However, the boy doesn't speak at all because maybe he's still trying to figure things out. Then eventually the group of people caught her. The boy went on his way because he doesn't even know what's going on. And so when they finally reached the altar, so a big bear show up. I believe this bear might be the act of God. And so the little boy suddenly show up. I think he wanted to protect the girl. And yeah, there was a big fight. Of course, the boy won. And then the group of people who was in charge decided to take them to their country because they can't really return the girl as well as the boy, as well as the friend. The friend was also there. But yeah, that's how the story ended. It's quite a lot. But yeah, I like the story so far. It's quite interesting. So many mystery. I'm just curious what's going to happen next to the girl as well as the boy, because now it's a new story. If you read A Silent Voice, the illustration will be similar. As you can see, very simple. I really like it. Now, at the very beginning of the story, it was very, very sad. Then eventually, you know, the story kind of turned around. But yeah, I really like the story so far. It's quite interesting. I'm curious to see where the story goes because this orb, you know, suddenly changed to different forms. And now he meets this little girl. And then the girl's fate has also changed. And so, yeah. Can't wait for the rest of the volumes. I found out there's already like over 20 volumes and it's still ongoing. So yeah. I finally got a chance to read Seraph of the End, Vampire Reign Volume 1 and 2. This is a big fantasy that's about vampires, demon as well, and basically versus human. And so one day there was a virus that almost decimated the human population except the children who were 13 and below, and suddenly the vampire decided to take advantage and kidnap all these children and took them underground as basically their food, you know. And then one day a group of children decided to escape from underground to go to the surface. However, only one of them made it, which is our main character. And then little did he know, when he came out, he was rescued by an army called Demon. These are actually human people. And so 4 years later, you know, he went to a normal school, and now his main goal is to take revenge and become one of the demon army. However, he has to go through a like process and training and tests, and then he can acquire a special weapon or special power. Basically, the demon army has a secret. They make contracts from the demon to use their power as a weapon to kill the vampires. And so, yeah, pretty interesting so far. I really like it. It's not bad. It's just a big fantasy. And then our main character, he's a little bit stubborn and reckless and just full of himself. So his characters just seems very similar when it comes to other protagonists out there. But yeah, not bad of a story. Things are getting interesting because our main character does not know that one of his childhood friends is actually alive and he became a vampire. And so that's going to be a quite reunion for them. And now these vampires are slowly trying to take over little parts of Japan. And so yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of action. I'm looking forward. Can't wait to read more. So here's volume 1 and 2. Really nice cover. Now this volume came with a poster inside. That's really cool. Now I'm not sure if all volumes has this, because there's like over 25 volumes already and a side story. But yeah, really like the story so far. Here's an insight from the first volume. Nice illustration, easy to follow. Now I don't really read a lot of vampires, and so this is my first time. So what a good start. Really like it. Not bad of a read. Yeah, looking forward more of these, except I think there's already more than 25 volumes, so I'm gonna try my best to keep up. And yeah, so I'm gonna end this reading log. I don't have all the manga because I returned some of them, and so I do have a picture right here. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this reading log. I read a lot of manga again, but however, one of the main goals is actually go through some what I've owned, not just focus on my library TBR. But yeah, I enjoy all of them. I can't wait to read more. But other than that, I hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.